This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we're your host. I'm Grace.
And I'm Alexis.
And we are on our last episode of the amazing Chan and the Chan clan and the whisper scatting that has brought us through the last 2 months of this arc.
Grace, promise me you'll never stop whisper scatting.
I would never stop whisper scatting. Before we started recording today, came up with an entire scenario in which Alexis and I slowly lose our fucking minds because we start hearing whisper scatting everywhere, and then we get committed, and then we can't stop hearing the whisper scatting, and then that's the last you ever hear of us.
Ever. So enjoy it. This may be our last episode.
Ever. Yeah, if you can't find us again, we're Shutter Island style. We're out.
Leo thinks that his family is like surrounding him or whatever. We think the amazing Chan clan running around us in this institution.
Like literally in Shutter Island, how like Leo's character, is like thinking he's an investigator solving the crime. We think we're part of the amazing Chan family solving the crime with them.
Dibs on Nancy. I'm Nancy.
God damn it. All right, well, I'm gonna take whatever medicine I need to be sane again, because now it's not fun.
It's not fun anymore.
It's only fun if we're Nancy.
Yes. Clearly the best member of the family. We're giving her justice for all the lack of justice that was given to her in the OG series.
Time.
Yes.
And so this is our last, Alexis will be telling the last Chan story for the time being. And then we will have a new arc of a show that we just decided on before we start recording this episode. It is iconic. It was life-changing for some of us on this show, maybe perhaps both of us.
Yes.
I don't want to speak for her. It was suggested by one of Bird's cousins.
It was. We'll give him a shout out when we do that episode next week. If he's listening now, he might already know, because it was just like 2 weeks ago that he suggested it to me, 2 weeks ago from our recording this.
Right. So 2 months and 2 weeks ago from recording this.
From the published date.
I think I at one point tried to dress up as one of the characters for Halloween.
Oh, I can't wait to hear which one when we talk about it
it's like
week.
The laziest costume you could possibly have.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Anyways, get excited. It is a banger indeed. But until then, please enjoy our last episode of the Amazing Chan Clan. Like, subscribe, review, leave us 5 stars wherever you're listening. Tell some friends and buckle up, because apparently this episode ties into our last episode in a way that I'm not privy to yet, but I am terrified to find out how. And overjoyed.
Overjoyed is a good way. It's not terrifying. Perhaps I oversold the connection to our last week's episode.
2 weeks ago, your last episode before this one, I was like, I'm making it part of mine now. Last second decision. So we're going to wildly speculate them together as much as we damn well please.
And so what I'll actually say, so if folks haven't heard last week's episode, go back and listen real quick, and then come back here.
And the one before that, because it ties.
And the one before. Yeah. True. Just go back and listen to our entire Amazing Chan Clan.
But at least the last 2 episodes to connect to this one, maybe.
What I will posit, that just came to my head, is that while in the last episode they were abroad in some nondescript Middle Eastern and or Northern African country, an Islamic country of sorts, Grace, you said that Charlie was good friends with the Sultan, a former classmate with him, and that's why they were there to, see him being crowned as the Sultan after riding the white elephant. However, I would like to say that in fact, they were there because the Chan clan is on a parade tour, and that their initial purpose was to perform in the parade, crowning the Sultan. And that, they kind of got the gig because Charlie was friends with the Sultan.
Just like the cruise ship gig.
It's just like the cruise ship gig. He was friends with Miss Van Norton, the richest lady on the cruise ship. And I think that the Chan clan is continuing their parade tour because this week they're with Dad performing in none other than a Mardi Gras parade in New Orleans.
Oh, shit. It's about to get wild.
It's about to get wild. They've got a float. It's got the Chan clan written all over it. They're playing that super catchy yet concerning stalker song about... We covered it a couple episodes ago when they were on the cruise ship, or a few weeks back. We've got fireworks and all this lighting the night sky. Families of all sorts and all sorts of folks and whatnot are in the streets enjoying the festivities, because anyone who is American knows Mardi Gras is probably the biggest party in the country, especially in its hometown, at least American hometown of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh, yeah, baby.
So, meanwhile, this is a great one. I'm very excited. And actually, I'm going to pause right there to say, or give a disclaimer, perhaps warning, because I can't do an episode in Louisiana without imitating some of the characters.
Yes!
So I'm going to do my best foghorn leghorn Yosemite Sam type of accent. While talking about these characters, because that's how they all talk.
I thought you were going to be like, disclaimer, I apologize for the writers' like poor Bayou accents, but I'm glad we're going to do them instead.
We're going to do them. We're Americans, so we're allowed to make fun of Americans. I don't feel kind making fun of people from other countries. We're going to go ahead and lean on into the, or AKA, I'm going to lean on into this to the best that I can. I don't have a raspy voice and a deep, like, baritone voice, so there's only so much I can do, but I'm going to do my best. Gosh darn it.
Gosh darn it.
It's funny because this is a super side note, and that I promise I'll get back on script here. I just recently watched the first season of True Detective, which is an awesome show on HBO/HBO Max. The first season, it's like an anthology crime series, and the first season takes place deep in Louisiana, so everybody talks like
you're
this.
Ready.
So I'm ready.
You were doing your homework for this episode.
Yes, by watching a murder mystery.
Hell yes.
It's actually kind of scary. So, all right. The Chan clan, they're enjoying this parade. They're there playing that super catchy stalker song. And meanwhile, Charlie, he's at a quaint little costume party at a house that overlooks the parade route. It's nice. Yeah. And
I hook up on Mardi Gras.
It is, because I think it is kind of like they're also staying in this house. It's like it's either an Airbnb situation or, similar to past episodes, the owner is a friend of Charlie's and he just happens to have 10 extra rooms for all of these kids and Charlie.
Charlie rolls with a rich crowd. He was literally friends with a sultan.
Yeah. I mean, his son, as we've discussed in the past couple episodes, is about to marry into a royal family. The
son-in-law of a sultan.
Son-in-law of a sultan. So, also in attendance at this party, we've got the host, aka the homeowner, a man by the name of Mr. Brett LeBeau. LeBeau, very classic French name, or like Creole American, whatever name. His fiance, Scarlett Avondale.
Amazing.
His younger brother, they don't really say his name, but at some point it sounds like they're calling him Worth, or like Worthington, maybe. So we're going to say his name is Worthington LeBeau. And then we've also got, I think this guy is an attorney named Mr. Beasley, and the family's servant, Craven.
Okay.
So, real quick.
Wait, I have a quick question before you dive in. Costume party. Is Charlie Chan just in his blue suit still? Or does he have like a mask on? Does he have some beads?
No, he hasn't been taking his shirt off for anybody. No beads.
No flashing. He's in the balcony. Those kids aren't there. Charlie, it's just be the women who aren't flashing.
My kids can't see this. No, so I will say he is... half of the people in attendance are in costume. Charlie is not. However, and I did note this later in the script, like a minor note, he is not wearing a hat. Charlie Chan's not wearing a hat in this episode, which
is his hair weird.
It is. He's got like a very prominent like widow's peak, and it just
happened for like 1 second in one of my episodes, and I was like, What is
Put
this?
the hat back on,
shoehorn? Buddy. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So I was just like, that's strange. I guess he's being polite, showing some Southern
taking his hat off.
Hospitality. I don't know. That's his costume. He's not a detective. He's just a normal businessman.
In costume.
He's just wearing his normal blue
Stanley
suit.
Is like, oh my God.
Well done, father. Well done.
Father, the true master.
So, but like I said, a few other people, they are in costume. We've got Brett dressed up just as a devil. He's got like a long black cloak on and like devil horns. And we've got Scarlett wearing like an antebellum type dress. Which is also kind of funny because she looks like she may be black. Like she's very light skin tone, but like possibly mixed. So it's like her maybe like, take that. Who's wearing the antebellum dress now?
I'm taking it back, motherfuckers.
Yes, we're owning it.
Hell yeah. Okay, yeah, we're going to say it's that.
Yeah, we're going to say that. And then we've got Worthington in like this hybrid, like blue jester / musketeer suit with a masquerade type mask on and like the hat that has like the points, the ends that kind of like point up. Yeah. Not like the jingles, but it just curves. It has like two arms that curve. It's weird. You'll put the picture on it for the folks watching on YouTube. Are like,
we see it.
We see it. So then you've got Mr. Beasley and Craven are just wearing suits. Like Mr. Beasley is in a normal, just maybe like a blue suit with a tie, and Craven is in more of like a tuxedo, like butler's type of suit. So they're not actually there for the costume party. They're just wearing their normal clothing. And so while they're up in this house and the parade is going on down below, the group is discussing this very valuable diamond ring that is in the house on display in this very nice, like built-in display case built into the wall with this like glass or like plexiglass screen in front of it. It's got this, golden post with a blue velvet pillow that the ring is sitting on top of. It's very ornate and it's almost like what you would see in a museum, right? And they're talking about this beautiful, valuable diamond ring. And I believe it's Brett LeBeau who says that the ring was formerly owned actually by none other than the infamous Marie Antoinette, and that the ring has been passed down through the LeBeau family for generations. And Scarlett speculates that there are possibly other hidden gems of Marie Antoinette's in the house. And of course, Marie Antoinette, we know her, the world knew her as the last queen of France before the French Revolution. She was queen from May of 1774 to September of 1792, which was the day that the monarchy was abolished, obviously from the French Revolution. Her husband was executed by guillotine in 1793. And then she was executed later that same year, pretty much in like this very open plaza. It was like the greatest spectacle.
They fucking loved executions back then.
Which way, depending on which side you look at it, it was like the greatest spectacle in Paris at the time.
Either way, people fucking loved going to public executions back in the day.
For sure.
Even if you were pro
here
royal
and
family.
there.
Yeah,
yes.
anywhere.
It was like, well, it's something to do. I guess. So Brett LeBeau, being the oldest living member of the family, he is the one who technically has custody of the ring and of the house that they live in. And Mr. Beasley is here proposing an offer on behalf of his clients, he says, which is why I assume he's like an attorney, or maybe he's like a collector of sorts. But nonetheless, he's trying to negotiate an agreement with the LeBeaus, offering to pay I'll give you $100,000 for that ring. In 1972, I should have looked up the conversion. Yeah, it's probably still not more than like $500,000 though.
Yeah, nowadays. It seems like it'd be in the millions.
It maybe might be in the low millions now, but still a ring directly from Marie Antoinette. And like that ring must have gone through some shit to be in Louisiana, because I did some minor background research on the founding of Louisiana and New Orleans in particular. It was founded way before she was queen. So she would have had to given it to like some other person with the Mississippi Company who was going to like check on things. I'm not sure. It doesn't quite make sense that her stuff would be there, but whatever.
Did they have kids? Like these are descendants of Marie Antoinette?
So that's
the whole royal family murdered?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the LeBeaus are related to Marie Antoinette.
Oh.
Maybe it's like she maybe stored a bunch of jewelry there.
Maybe their family was part of the revolution, and when they stormed the palace, they were like, "Yoink,
give me that ish."
Right? Maybe they were the executioner. Right when they chopped their head off, they're like, "Oh, cute earrings."
Ooh, hey girl, take that. You won't need these where you're going.
Your head's already in a basket. Boing.
Boink. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, this makes more sense. Not descendants, just
somehow the ring is there, and they own the house. And so.
Gotcha.
Yes. So while Mr. Beasley is proposing this offer to Brett, Worthington cuts in and says that if this were my ring, I'd accept your offer in a heartbeat. Mr. Beasley, I can't do this accent forever.
No, you have to.
Damn it. What have I gotten myself into?
Stop recording.
I'll never
leave this show.
I'm gonna only be speaking in a deep bayou accent forever now. It's like I'll go between whisper scatting in my ears and just only talking like this. My family won't even know who I am anymore.
The last quote before this one, it did take you a second to get out of it. So I do expect by the end of the episode, you're just gonna be talking like that the whole time and not be able to get out of it.
I won't even know who I am anymore. I sound like an attorney in the heat of the South.
Oh, I need some iced tea, some sweet tea.
This court room, we need some. I need some sweet tea to calm me down.
Oh, bless his heart.
My stars. Worthington, though, he's like, I would accept your offer in a heartbeat.
What does he say?
If this were my ring, I'd accept your offer in a heartbeat, Mr. Beasley.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry. But my brother is much more stubborn than I. So Mr. Beasley insists. The switch up, I'm sure, is going to sound so hilarious. It's so drastic. Mr. Beasley insists that making the sale is very important to him and to his client. And obviously, he's probably going to get a super nice paycheck for negotiating the sale of this 100,000, much more than 100,000, but whatever ring. So Brett tells him that, well, that ring is quite simply not for sale. And I will say, Brett's accent's going to be a lot easier to do than Mr. Beasley and Worthington.
Something more of a nice Southern drawl.
It's just a nice Southern, exactly. So Mr. Beasley responds, well, you may be sorry, sir. Very sorry. When you actually, that might be the best one I've done yet. That was
nice and raspy. You're gonna lose your voice by the end of it, and it's gonna be perfect.
And then Mr. Beasley storms out of there. So Brett invites the other guests to sit out on the balcony so that they can watch the parade, particularly to see the Chans come by on their float. Mr. Chan, he goes out with them, but Scarlett's like, I've got to go powder my nose. So it's going to be so long because I just can't, I got to laugh after it.
All right, you can pick and choose when you do it, but
thank you. Okay, so Scarlett has to go powder her nose, aka the white elephant has given her some supplies.
I was going to say, from Nancy's not on the float because she's not in the band. You know, she's making a little delivery there.
She's just sliding that right over to Scarlett, and thanks for letting us stay here.
And Scarlett's sliding her some beignets.
Yes. The perfect trade. And Worthington, he also says that he has to leave to attend another engagement. So it's only Charlie and Brett out on the balcony enjoying the parade. And of course, the Chan clan's performance. But while they're out there and chatting about how great this Mardi Gras is and how the kids are going to remember it for the rest of their lives, an alarm inside of the home begins to sound off, alerting Brett that his precious family heirloom passed down from Marie Antoinette, or stolen from Marie Antoinette, has again been stolen.
Okay.
And like zooms to the display case, and we just see like the perfect circle cut in the glass. And the pillow that the ring was resting on is just empty now. And so the party guests, they all reconvene in the living room, and the kids, they're done with their performance. So they've all rushed up there, and they're kind of like eavesdropping as well on what the adults are talking about. And it also looks like an actual law enforcement officer is present and has been called into the scene. And Mr. Beasley, he's there like, well, it wasn't me. I left the party long before that was stolen. Maybe he'll be the only one that I imitate.
It is the most fun
be my Beasley. He is. And Worthington, though, he chimes in saying like, well, you could have come back because our door is always unlocked and opened on Mardi Gras, which like, pro tip,
idea.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We think that crime is terrible in America now. The 70s were way worse, okay?
And on the drunkest day in America?
Exactly.
One of the drunkest days?
And so Beasley responds by saying like, well, you may have stole it then, Worthington, or maybe even Craven, or maybe Mr. LeBeau himself. But Brett, he takes great offense at Mr. Beasley throwing these accusations around. Okay, this is going to be the last one that I do.
Like, no, it's not.
Now see here, Mr. Beasley. But Scarlett stops him, calms him down, and says, Mr. Beasley didn't mean it like that. He means no harm. And the law enforcement officer, he's like, all right, well, this clearly seems like perhaps either a scuffle between family and family friends. It's fucking Mardi Gras. There's a lot of crime
already
happening
drunk.
on those
And the white elephant, I got to meet her on the way out.
I've heard that the white elephant is in town. We're trying to figure out who it is. We've got leads, but we don't know. It's also the biggest crime day in New Orleans. Mr. Chan, can you help me with this? And just like, tell me when you found the culprit.
Take care of it.
Take care of this. Mr. Chan is like, absolutely, I'm happy to take over this investigation for you. And so at this point, the children, like I said, they're obvi eavesdropping on the adults' conversation from like various places around the house. And they're all coming up with their own suspicions on who the culprit might be. So we'll break it into our classic groups of who is going to look into what. But this time, actually, group one, we're going to start out with Charlie Chan himself, and then we'll do the kids later. Okay. So the kids all scatter, right? They go and, look into their own things.
It's Mardi Gras.
Right. They're out on the streets unsupervised.
The perfect, safest day. When
in
you
American
said earlier,
culture.
Like, the kids will remember for the rest of their lives, I was like, yeah, those younger ones on the float are getting flashed. They gonna remember that the rest of their lives.
That shit is burned into their brains.
Henry's uninterested.
He's just thinking about Hareem. Hareem would love Mardi Gras. It's such a beautiful time. So much love in the air.
I'll write my next song about him. Yeah. Drumming away.
Anyways, so Charlie, he hangs back at the LeBeau house and he's questioning Brett and Scarlett about the ring. And Brett explains to him, like, listen, I'm not really worried about the money. It's more so the fact that the ring has been in the family for generations. And I guess I feel like irresponsible being the one who got it stolen.
That makes sense.
Fair. And so Charlie asks Brett how long he's owned the house. And Brett says that actually before he owned the house, it belonged to his father. So it was passed down to him. And Scarlett chimes in saying that before Brett's father owned it, her father actually owned the house. And that in fact, her great-grandfather, Beauregard Avondale, built the house.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
Brett explains the history a bit more, saying that the story is that it was a way station for he says escaped, but what he should have said was runaway slaves in the Underground
Does he
Railroad.
Actually say slaves?
He does say slaves. Yeah, he should say escaped enslaved. Well, no, yeah, escaped slaves, whatever, in the Underground Railroad. And Scarlett's like, it's not a story, it's true. There are secret passages all over the place. And she adds that her father was so proud of the home that he had built, and it made him very sad to sell it. And I will say, this is a personal point of interest to me, not just because I'm Black and American, but also because that one thing, but also because the place where I grew up, just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, is actually known as a village that had a lot of houses that were way stations during the Underground Railroad. And like, some of my friends' houses growing up in grade school, we'd go hang out. They had secret passageways and tunnels all throughout their house. So we would like play tag and hide and go seek in their houses. And like, they had these little hidey holes and like little cubbies and stuff, and closets that had extra little doors in them that you could go through and like hide in. Super cool. So I was like, she actually may be very correct in the way that she's describing this, because I've seen houses like that before. Yeah.
Also, possibly very cool of like the writers of, like you said, like her depiction of being like, she might be Black. And then her, like the writers being like, yeah, her, what was it?
Great-grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah. Like built this house in New
protect
Orleans.
Slaves.
Yeah. As like a Black man at that time. So I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
I was like, okay, cool, yeah, actually, this is adding up. Yes, very good. Yeah, they can make Americans look good. It's just also, the other country.
I'm immediately like, yes, this is why there was only one season, because they acknowledged slavery in America. Got it.
Like, got it.
Yeah, classic America being like, you talked about our history? Oh God, our actual history? No thanks. Classic.
So. Yes. And so Scarlett, she's getting very sad, retelling the story of her grandfather having to sell the house off to, I guess, Brett's father, Brett's father, the LeBeau's father. And Brett, he leans in and comforts her, saying, well, it's all right, honey. You'll have the house right back when we get married, which I assume is soon. That's right. So it's coming full circle for her. Yeah. And so now let's move to group 2, which is Henry and Stanley. They go straight on down after leaving the LeBeau house to the Chan van, which is just parked right on the street, probably right outside. And they're sitting in it discussing who the likely culprit might be. And so Stanley suggests that Craven is definitely in on the crime because he just, for some reason, believes that the butler costume was just a costume, and or that the butler is always the one to do the crime. So
interesting.
Which also, as far as this show goes, that's never been the case. But okay,
Stanley.
He could be onto something this week. We'll see.
True.
So they see Craven walking out of the front door of the house, and they decide to follow after him in the van. And he's walking like all over town, kind of like cutting through the parade route and everything. And Chan kids are like having some trouble, like changing the van into the right thing to follow him with. But they eventually see him hop into a car, I guess a few blocks away, and take off. So the boys take off after him. And they stay on his tail as he drives through these like really deep woods right near the swamp, it looks like, and leads them to this old, like either Revolutionary War or Civil War, I don't know, maybe both, era military fort.
Oh,
I looked it up. There's like 2 in New Orleans.
Wow.
I'm going to guess it's a fort called Fort Macomb, maybe. I don't know.
I'll believe you.
But no matter what, I think that what it's used for now is actually just like a museum of sort that's just obviously closed for the night. And they just like burst on in there. And of course, this fort is empty and abandoned on the inside, but it's actually kind of cool. It has all of these like cannons and piles of old cannonballs just lying around on the ground by some of the windows.
So I'm perfect. Like, okay, definitely open weapons laying around.
Just don't give these boys any matches or lighters, and all should be fine. That too, they already have that. It's too late for that, Grace.
Too late. They're addicted.
Too late. Yes. So much to the boys' surprise, though, it's not actually abandoned in there. There is at least one person inside of this fort, a man who's dressed up as an old-timey, like Revolutionary War era soldier, but also wearing a masquerade mask. Yes, it would be scary.
Yeah.
And the soldier dude is chasing the boys all over the fort, But Henry and Stanley are cleverly able to find hiding spots each time he closes in on them. So eventually, while they're running away from this guy, they overhear Craven in another room behind closed doors saying, "It's the perfect job. I knew you could do it. How much do I owe you?"
Ooh.
So they're like, "Oh, this sounds like he's talking to some sort of accomplice, and it's probably about that diamond ring." And so they burst into the room to make a citizen's arrest, as per usual. And they're like, "Hand over the ring, Craven." And Craven's like standing there having a suit tailored. He's like, it's like a military suit.
Oh my
like
God,
a modern day.
I was gonna say, is he a reenactor? Oh gosh.
Hold on. And you see like this poor old tired tailor, like his sleeves are rolled up, he's got a tie on that's like all loosened, and he like looks hot and sweaty. He's like taking measurements of like Craven's like waist and his leg and everything, his inseam. And Craven's just like, "Oh, well, it's Master Henry and Master Stanley. Hey, boys." And the boys are like, "Why are you wearing that weird costume? You can't fool us." And Craven is like, "Well, I am actually a colonel in the National Guard. And it's drill night tonight. We're doing a presentation for Mardi Gras." So like, yes, kind of what you said, like he's not in costume, but it's clearly like a Mardi Gras sort of parade event or whatever that the old, like the National Guard gets together and does. Probably at this like historic museum or something.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, why the fuck are they at this place? But yeah, that makes sense that it would be there.
Which again makes me realize that pretty sure the dude chasing them is also in the National Guard, but he is in like the traditional costume.
Yes.
And is probably just like, why are these men in here? This is like military / like state property.
He's like, "Get these drunk kids out."
He's like,
"No,
I've
guys,
had to
chase 10 others today."
He's like, "I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to just tell you where the audience is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be in here. We're doing drills.
Doors don't open till 6.
Yeah, this is close to the public." And so Craven like very kindly invites the boys to stay and watch them march, but they're like, "Oh no, we actually have to like get back to the LeBeaus." And then they just book it out of there and they leave. And then we've got group 3, Susie, Alan, Tom, and Anne. And so Anne, aka Jodie Foster, is suggesting that Scarlett may be the crook. But Tom tells her, like, "Yeah, right, that's unlikely. Not only is it unlikely, but it's improbable because Scarlett's a woman. Women don't commit crimes. Duh." Maybe this was before, like, I don't know, Casey Anthony and Eileen Walrus or whatever. all these people. Just you wait, Tom. Just you wait. Although, sorry, allegedly Casey Anthony for the lawyers listening.
Please don't sue us.
Yeah, please don't. So Anne gets defensive and tells her siblings,
"I'm going to murder so many people you don't even know."
You don't even know it. That's basically what she says. Not her personally, but she's like, "Come on, a woman can be just as good of a criminal as any man can." And the siblings kind of laugh at her like, "Please, like, I think you're going crazy." Which, okay, fair. I mean, the statistics do point in Tom's favor in this case. Yes, but you never want to rule anyone
serial
out.
Killers even
Absolutely.
Before this.
Right. Well before, and even more likely there are women burglars, I'm sure a lot of women stole jewelry.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, majority rule wins out though. The group decides to follow Beasley rather than Scarlett to see what he may know about the stolen ring. And so Beasley, he walks back to his home, like going all throughout New Orleans on this late at night on Mardi Gras. And after the coast is all clear, the kids just waltz right into his home right after him.
They don't leave it unlocked on Mardi Gras. No one does, apparently.
No one does. It's safe in 1972 in America. And so Beasley, being a
serial killers, prime time.
So Beasley, being this hotshot Southern lawyer, he actually has quite a large house. It's got this like nice gated entryway with this nice garden and like patio area when you walk in. And there's like at least maybe like 8 bedrooms on the upper level, like just this hallway lined with doors on both sides. And naturally, after doing the classic B&E, the kids, they go on upstairs and they actually like look through all these different doors, like opening them all up, trying to find him. But just as they're about to open the last door at the end of the hallway, they hear Beasley talking on the other side saying, well, I don't want to leave it there too late. I'd better come and pick it up now. And so the kids, they're like, oh shit, he's talking about the diamond ring. He's about to go get it from somewhere. So before they hear him open up the door, or before that he gets a chance to open up the door, they book it from upstairs, run back downstairs and outside and like hide, on behind all these bushes and stuff on the patio to make sure that Beasley doesn't see them as he makes his way out to his next destination. And so they follow him again on this dark night in Louisiana on Mardi Gras, the drunkest night in America, probably. They follow him to a costume store in the city that's almost entirely deserted on the inside because it's probably getting ready to close and everyone already has their costumes. Yeah. But while they're walking through this costume, which honestly, it's like a warehouse, it's massive. Like there's like a utility elevator and this long wooden staircase that goes up. They're walking all over looking for Beasley. But they end up getting chased by someone wearing an astronaut costume in there.
Okay.
And just as they escape the clutches of this astronaut, they then they pause and they catch their breath on this other side of the warehouse. And then they start getting chased, even scarier, by someone in a clown suit.
Nope. No, absolutely not.
And this isn't like a party clown. This isn't like Ronald McDonald. This is a clown that has razor sharp teeth, wild orange hair, and menacing eyes.
No, absolutely not.
Big no. And so
I'm tripping my siblings and getting away. I'm leaving them behind as bait.
Is Nancy in this group? No, Nancy's not in this group. Darn it. I was like, the clumsiest of you all is the sacrifice. Sorry.
That's just how
we have to get out of here.
That's how it works now. This is a cursed ground. Girl. I'm leaving this state and never coming back.
Never, ever.
Sorry about your
Absolutely
ring.
Terrifying. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Dad, that you have missing kids now, but it was either one of us or all of us. Take your pick, Dad. You've got 9
it's called natural selection.
You'll be fine.
You have so many of us.
Yes.
You don't even notice.
This terrifying clown man, he's chasing them all over this costume shop / warehouse. And to get him off of their tails, Jodie Foster, she pulls some badass shit. All right.
Oh yeah, she does.
She stands and is standing in that utility elevator that I mentioned, bait, hey, come here, come get me. But when the clown runs in to grab her, it's revealed that she's not actually standing in the elevator, but that she's put a wooden plank in the shaft that she's standing on. And she jumps off the plank, and the clown, he doesn't realize there's a plank there. So he just falls, he runs in and falls down this elevator shaft.
He's dead.
And they look down.
This is the second murder Anne's been involved in. The gladiator? Yeah. No, this clown?
Not this clown. They look down. The clown is laid out, arms sprawled, and you just see stars over his head. So they're trying to imply that he's still alive, but he's just knocked out. Nah, that dude's dead. If nothing else, he's got a broken back and a concussion, and no one knows he's down there.
Yeah, he's fucking gone.
He's never gonna walk again. That poor man.
On one hand, I'm he is a terrifying clown scaring kids, so maybe, but also Anne, Jodie.
Maybe it's self-defense. Maybe this was just a drunken man who fell asleep in the costume shop on Mardi Gras on his way home.
He was confused.
He was confused.
Third option.
Now he's paralyzed.
Maybe this was the final test for Anne to be Nancy's bodyguard. Nancy's watching in a window.
Nancy's not in the scoop, but she's peering in like,
excellent.
Well done, Anne.
Yeah,
well done.
Anne's becoming a maid man for Nancy's gang. She's got to kill a couple guys to be able to hang with the white elephant.
You see like Nancy looking out of the window, and then she just like backs up and disappears into the night.
Swampy fog rolls in.
Like takes over the window.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so now that this clown man is paralyzed at the bottom of the elevator shaft, the kids, they're like, okay, well, we may have just killed that man, so we should probably get out of here and get back to our dad and never speak of this moment again.
Just like the gladiator? No, don't say the words.
The what? The who? I don't know what you're talking about. We've never been to Greece a day in our lives.
All records were wiped from that trip.
Yes. Which,
just like they will for this
the CIA actually may have wiped them because they didn't want history to know that Charlie Chan was in on that. A violent military coup. So anyway, they overhear, just as they're trying to leave this costume shop, they overhear Beasley, again, behind closed doors, in the costume store's office, saying, I told you I wouldn't need any help. Getting in was easy, of course. I may need your help later on to get out. And so the kids, they again interpret this as some sort of confession, like, oh, he was easily able to get in to steal the ring, but he's going to need someone's help getting out of this tight situation. So they burst into the office thinking that they're going to catch him red-handed. But when they open the door and they tell him they've heard everything he says, the camera like pans to Mr. Beasley and we just see him wearing like a full knight's armor costume, like helmet and all, with like, I think like the little red, the plume, whatever, hanging off. Like, obviously it's a costume. And Mr. Beasley's like, well, yeah, I meant every word. Getting into this costume was really easy. But getting out's going to be tough. It's very heavy armor. And so Mr. Beasley explains, like, I just can't wait for the grand costume ball tonight. Are you guys going? Like, asking if these kids are going to this costume party.
No rules on Mardi Gras, baby.
No, and he's like, hey, I've seen toddlers in places they should not be. All right. It's New Orleans on Mardi Gras. Anything happens. And so the kids, realizing how much they too have effed up this whole investigation and misread the sitch, they're like, nope, we're actually going to go get some sleep. It's our bedtime, which it probably actually is. Yes. So they book it on out of there as well and head back to
real quick.
Yeah.
I just imagine the last words before they like decide to leave are Mr. Beasley being like, oh yeah, well now I got to go find my date around here. They're dressed up as a clown tonight. Man, I think I'm going to, tonight was going to be the night pose.
My wife thought the clown outfit would be a weird one, but I said, no, a clown and a knight at a party together. Do you know how cute that'll be? I can't wait to get down on one knee and
like on the night we met. And what would become the king and queen of Mardi Gras ago. Yeah, I will get down on one arm and knee and propose to her to be the knight of her heart. And the kids are like, huh?
Wow, you know. And actually, did you happen to see a man in an astronaut suit? That's my son as well. We're having a whole family affair tonight at the costume gala.
We were going to tell our son that, well, my clown wife is now pregnant with his younger sister.
Youngest? Yeah.
He's always wanted a younger sister, and well, we're finally giving it to him. I've never been so happy a day in my life.
They like press the button for the elevator, like, it seems the elevator's out of order. How are we gonna get downstairs in time for this party?
They hear the door slam of like the front door of the kids fleeing.
Oh man!
Yikes!
You have to be pregnant.
Sorry to make that really dark.
Double homicide.
Again, the most lawless night in New Orleans.
We were never here.
He said the kids also go into the fog of the swamp.
And speaking of fog, we now have Group 4, Flip, Nancy, Mimi, and Scooter out on the dark streets of New Orleans, again, on Mardi Gras, the oldest of this group being like 10 years old.
Good.
And they suspect that Worthington is the prime suspect. And so they're mostly following Flip's lead on this one. But Mimi chimes in, noting that in books, classically, specifically mystery books, the younger child is always jealous of the older child because of the inheritance. Again, Ooh. A callback to your last episode, where I won't give away what the crime was or who the culprit was.
That shit happens.
There's clearly some drama going on between an older brother who was a sultan and a younger brother who was like the head of government, head of state in this country.
Also, as Mimi says it, she looks at Nancy.
Yeah.
Jealous of her already huge fortune.
She's amassed from this cocaine empire.
Oh God, Nancy or Mimi's gonna have a coup one day of her older sister. Go on.
She is. So they decide to follow Worthington LeBeau around town to see exactly what he is up to. And of course, though, Flip is pretty smart here. He's like, we better stay back, though. We got to keep our distance. Yes. And so, as it turns out, Worthington is wearing a costume that happens to be quite popular for young men in New Orleans on Mardi Gras. Because we see multiple men coming in and out of this nearby store, all wearing this same like blue jester / musketeer outfit, walking along the streets. And we see like this cloud of fog kind of pour through the city. Nancy disappears. Yes, finally.
From the group. My cover.
Which, yes, is why I said, speaking of fog before, bringing it all together. And the kids kind of mix up like which guy is actually Worthington. Like they think that they see the same guy just kind of walking back and forth on the streets. And they're like, oh, shoot, there he is. We better follow him. Hint, it's not actually Worthington that they're following. I'll just say it right now.
At all.
Yes. So the kids, they follow this guy through a very dark and densely wooded swamp. Again, of course, without any adult supervision. And they wind up
in that swamp. This is bad
probably. Scooter literally could be eaten. I'm not sure if Choo Choo is with them, but Scooter being the youngest and smallest. Yeah, you just hear like, help! See an alligator like dragging him into a swamp.
Yikes.
Bye, Scooter. Wow, they're going to lose 2 kids tonight. One to the clown, one to the gators. So this group of tiny children, they wind up trailing this man who is not Worthington LeBeau. Oh, they trail him right into a cemetery, Grace, where they believe
this man is a serial killer.
He might be. And I forget who it is, if it's Mimi or Nancy, but one of them is like, should we call for help?
Yes.
At this point, like that's a cemetery. We should not be going in there. We shouldn't even be on our own right now.
He's burying a body.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Flip considers for a second, but then he sees this man getting deeper into the cemetery and he's like, no, there's no time. We just got to go after him. So they go into this dark and clearly closed for the night cemetery and follow after him. But they seem to like have lost track of him because they're just like standing there right next to like all of these like half dug graves. Like you just see piles of dirt out and like these small holes being stuck. So, like,
you know what? The grave digger celebrates Mardi Gras too.
Yeah, they were out getting drunk and stuff. They had to build up the liquid courage to carry through with the job. They're like, I don't know if I can do this without like an entire 40 ounce and like 240 ounces in my system. Yeah. And so while the kids are standing there in this very spooky, creepy, dark, and like I said, closed for the night cemetery, they end up getting spooked by a bat that is flying overhead. And as they're like running around and trying to avoid this bat that's chasing them, they then run into a ghost, just, the classic white draped over with the big, the black eyes that pops up from behind one of the tombstones and chases them around. And then they get cornered by another tombstone that is being guarded by a witch, actually, like the classic witch with the pointed hat and everything, the long fingernails cackling at them. And so they're being chased by those things and they keep running around. But no, that's not enough. They then encounter a skeleton that legit crawls out of a grave and starts running after them.
This episode has gone too far. The clown and now this.
The astronaut was the best thing. I was like, okay, whatever. But then the scary clown, and then the ghost, and then the witch. Now a skeleton coming out of a grave.
That's the line, is the out of the grave.
And also, I'm like, out of the grave. Like, what? It could have just been standing there. That would have been one thing, but literally crawling, like clawing and crawling its way up to scare them. And at this point, the kids finally decide, okay, let's get the fuck out of this cemetery and head back to LeBeau's before we get murdered by any one of these monsters and or honestly, probably just drunken adults in costumes.
Exactly.
Who are grave robbing and see these kids walking through there and they're like, let's scare these. Get out of here. We're fucking robbing
the skeleton
graves,
probably
man.
Was drunk and fell into the grave. Like,
and he's just drunkenly trying to get out.
Yeah, he's like, help. Oh God, I threw up in there.
Oh God, don't go down there, kids. It's fucking crazy. Where am I? And he's like stumbling after them and they're like, oh God, he's trying to kill us.
But they have like such like thick, like true, like Louisiana Bayou accents that the kids can't understand, so they think they're just like moaning and groaning at them. When in reality, they're like, kids, you need to get out of here. This is inappropriate. Where are your parents?
But
they just can't understand it.
But it just happened like this, and they're all running after them.
Running away.
Run. And so we've got our conclusion here. Obviously, these Chan kids, none of them really met a lot of success in their investigations. No. So they've all returned to the LeBeau house and they're sitting there in the living room like, sorry, we couldn't find whoever the thief was, Mr. LeBeau. Like, it's rough out there on these streets tonight. Meanwhile,
have you seen this place? You should lock your fucking door.
Anne is in like 1,000-yard stare mode. Just like sitting by herself, like, I just murdered some woman and her unborn child. She's just like totally withdrawn.
Like hearing the police sirens that they heard when they were running away from the swamp. She's hearing them everywhere.
They're gonna come get me. They're gonna come get me.
Nancy walks by and she's like, get it together.
You did well, Anne. Anne's like, what are you talking about? She's like, Nancy wasn't even there. She's like, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. We're going to be okay.
And she like squeezes a little tighter on her shoulder.
What do you mean?
It
hurts. You don't know what I've done. I know everything you've done.
Nancy's
okay, white elephant.
Anne's colors drains from her face even more.
Pale white. So as the kids are all collecting their nerves, they're talking and apologizing to Brett and Scarlett for not being able to
like, why would you have solved this, your children?
Yeah, they're like, yeah, that's fine.
Were you in bed?
We thought you guys were still in the parade. Like, don't worry about it. And so they all kind of pause and they're like, hey, wait a minute. Where's Dad at? Where did he go? And Brett and Scarlett are like, we haven't seen them in a minute, actually. We don't know where he went. The last we heard, we were explaining to him the history of this house. And so just as the kids are asking about where Charlie is, they hear him say, well, let me say this. Brett is still saying like, yeah, we don't know where he is, but yes, thank you, kids, for looking into the crime, I suppose. We didn't know you were. But at this point, it's been a couple of hours now. I don't think we're going to find who stole it. And Charlie then says, at least we hear his voice, "Not just yet, Mr. LeBeau." And we see Charlie standing in the wall behind the case that was holding the ring. Like there's just like a few bricks that were pulled out of it. And you like see his face popping through those openings in the wall.
I was like, he's definitely going to be in a tunnel, but I did not think he was going to be right behind the case.
Right behind, exactly. Okay. And so, confused, Brett's like, "Well, Charlie, how did you get in there? And what do you mean? Charlie, what you doing back there, boy?" And so Charlie's like, "Well, perhaps Ms. Avondale would like to explain." No. And yeah, I'm not even going to give you a chance to guess who did it, because the way that this episode flows, it's just like... Do you want to
hear what my guess was, though?
Yes. Yeah, let me hear it before we talk about how Miss Avondale has anything to do with this.
That's why I was giggling a second ago, is because my answer was going to be, you had asked me, I hope to God it was that clown and her unborn child. I hope to God it was them and that they were horrible criminals.
Because then we've got some justification for Anne.
The
unborn child had something to do with it too. It drove the woman to madness.
Hysteria. Yes. Yeah, I think Charlie's about to be like, well, now like it's definitely, why doesn't, like he's about to say, Miss Avondale, and Anne's like, the clown. Why doesn't the clown tell us what it was? Right? And Anne's like, what are you talking about,
what
Anne?
Clown?
And Anne's like,
the clown and her unborn daughter. What?
Miss Avondale, you stole the ring, and what? Avondale, put the ring back. We need to go talk about this right now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like, you know what? Anne, don't worry. We'll find a way to make it look like it was the clown. I guess Miss Beasley's wife. We'll just pin it on Beasley the whole time. His fingerprints are all over the place. It's easy. I don't know.
Nancy is like, my people are already planting broken bottles all around her to make sure it looks like a drunk accident. Everyone's like, what? Nothing?
What? Nothing.
May I have a beignet?
Please, with jelly on the side. Please. It's like a jelly donut.
Everyone's like, so the ring. They all like scoot slightly away from those two.
Yeah. Anne is still like shaking like 1,000-yard stare, and Nancy's just like licking powdered sugar off of her fingers. Actually, cocaine.
Nancy goes, Anne, have a little bit of this, it'll help, and just like puts it in her gums for her.
Yeah, folks, this is why we warned you. You have to go back and listen to last week's episode to understand what in the hell we are talking about right now. It all comes together. It all makes sense.
Trust us.
But anyways, Charlie says to Brett that Miss Avondale is able to explain all of this. And Brett is even more confused and says, Scarlett, what is Charlie talking about? But she plays dumb, like, well, I haven't the faintest idea. I don't know. My stars. What is he doing accusing me? And so Charlie, he walks out from behind the wall and into the living room, and he is in fact holding the beautiful LeBeau/Marie Antoinette diamond ring. And he's just like, oh, that won't do, Ms. Avondale. And Brett asks Mr. Chan where he found the ring. And Mr. Chan says, I found it right where Miss Avondale left it, in the secret room behind the fireplace, where they used to hide runaway slaves, which I dare say is covered with her fingerprints. Stares at Miss Avondale like, am I right or am I right? And she's just like crying with her hands covering her face like, oh no, I've been caught. And so Flip congratulates his father on a job well done and asks, well, what tipped you off, Dad? And Charlie's like, well, Miss Avondale was just so adamant in her belief that this was part of the Underground Railroad, this house, and that proved which proved that she had firsthand knowledge of the tunnels of which she spoke. Okay. So Charlie pretty much just searched around the house until he found like secret rooms and yeah, pretty much like pulling books off of stuff, probably like pushing like bookshelves out of the way or like looking through closets for extra doors and hidden passageways. And he's like, yeah. And so I found the secret room and the ring was just right in there, which I didn't really think about it until reading this out loud today. But like, why would she put the hole in the front of it and steal it that way instead of just going into the secret room? And
I bet,
it doesn't really matter.
Be like someone else stole it, like an external person stole it.
It would make it look like an inside job.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise it'd be like, well, clearly it's still here because no glass has been smashed.
Right. True. That's a good point. All right. So yeah, I guess this is the end of their engagement. Yeah, exactly. And that's my next line. Anne is super vindicated. She's now slightly distracted from the trauma of just murdering a woman and her unborn child. And she's vindicated at the idea that, yes, you see, a woman can be a criminal because I too am one. I mean, because Miss Avondale.
See, we're in this together. I mean, you stole a ring. You are a criminal. Goes back to the 1,000-yard stare.
Can we please get the fuck out of New Orleans as soon as possible? And that's the end of the episode.
Your CIA contacts. Remember the gladiator?
I need to know. Oh God, I need some cover. I need cover quick.
She's suddenly remembering, like, oh God, the gladiator. This isn't my first time. They like had to hypnotize, like, memory erase it from her.
It's like I don't know if you've seen Men in Black, but they have like those
they're like memory wiping,
like flashes the light and then you forget everything. They like find Mr. Beasley and do it to him too. Like, you don't have a son. You weren't about to propose to this woman in the clown outfit. She was not pregnant. You don't even know who she is.
They do it to Anne.
Books it out of there. Yeah, just for safe measure. Like, you forgot that I even just wiped your memory.
Wow. Ooh, great job.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of the arc of the amazing Chan and the Chan clan.
Wow.
Boy, oh boy, did we just rewrite history there.
Well, okay, before we reflect on the series, like we do in our last episode, my question is, why was she stealing the ring? Was she doing like a long con of like, my granddad had to sell this house to this guy's dad, so if I marry him, then I'm going to get myself back in the will to get this house back, but I'm going to need some extra cash, so I'm going to steal the ring? Was this like a long fake?
It is a long con. I think she was definitely in the long con. I, unfortunately for Brett, don't think she really loved him. I think she was I got to find the person who's owning this house. Thank God he's kind of in my age range. I'm going to pretend I love him. We're going to get married. Because my thought is they don't explain her motive. So yes, we do now have to wildly speculate and put it together for the writers. Thanks, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera.
Usual.
So in the beginning, she said that the ring, she suspected that there were other gems
in the house,
valuables hidden somewhere else in the house that just hadn't been discovered yet. So my thought is that maybe but her great-grandfather bought the house. So I don't know, maybe somehow the ring was found in there. I don't know. And she has this belief that it's hers because the house was originally hers. Exactly. And so she's like, no, I want that ring. I need it. It's part of my family property.
Or, you know what?
Or maybe not. She just wanted it to sell it. And yeah, she was like, I'm not actually going to marry this dude. I just want the ring. It's like, it's worth way more than $100,000. But even if it was $100,000, like, yeah, that could do you a lot back in the 70s in the South. Or I'd hightail it out of there.
Weddings are expensive. Maybe they need that. And she needs that insurance money to help pay for some of that wedding. Yeah. And she obviously wants the house and is going to con him into it and stuff. But like, maybe she was like, man, that wedding, it's adding up real quick. I'm gonna need some extra cash on hand. Yeah. Insurance fraud. Steal that ring.
Give me that. Yeah, that's Hey, your guess is as good as mine. Again, they didn't really want to go into the details. They just needed to show that, yes, women can be criminals as well.
Whether it's interpersonal theft, cold double homicide, anything in between.
Whatever.
We contain multitudes, us women.
We're
like
complex beings.
Peel back the layers.
And you find a different criminal under each layer. Well, at least for Anne, it wasn't premeditated murder. So maybe that'll give her a little bit of some, some leeway. Yeah.
And it's not the first cover up for her. So
no,
they've got the cleanup crew routine down.
Nancy will get her out of it. She'll be walking the streets of New Orleans again in no time.
No time. Anne's never going back to New Orleans or Greece. She can't quite figure out why, but she just inherently hates those places as an adult. She's like, oh, they just give me the creeps.
For some reason, I can't put my finger on it, but I just feel like something really wrong happened in those places. And also, I think so, like, Scarlett lives in this house with Brett, if they do live there.
Yeah.
Like, do they really need to call law enforcement? I guess. Yeah, can you just be like, give me the ring back, engagement's over, get out of my life? This is a
marital problem.
Yeah, this isn't. Is it really that? It's not burglary, but I guess it's theft. She didn't like break in, but
either way.
She moved it, but she didn't actually leave with it. It was still in the house. She was just said,
I was going to claim insurance fraud and then give it back to us. So this was for my love for you, Brett.
Yeah.
Now we have money.
Maybe they are still getting married. Back. She actually was just stealing the ring because she's like, I want this to be the wedding ring.
My ring. Yeah.
Yes.
When you gave me
this one on my finger.
Yeah. No one got beheaded for the one that you gave me. I only take rings of murdered royalty.
Of people who have been beheaded and whose governments have been overthrown by revolution. It's called standards.
Look it up.
Learn a thing or two about it.
Also, while when they call the actual cops, like, if he does report her, like, it's like the new cop on the beat who's like, there's been so many homicides tonight. What, you lost a ring? It's between a husband and wife or fiance. I don't know. Fucking figure it out. Chan's here. Chris, this is multiple homicides that have happened this evening. I got to get back. It was a clown. I'm terrified. I got to go. The newbie just like leaves.
He like walks in like super sad. Like, you guys won't believe the crime scene I just came from. A woman who
was strapped in tonight.
Pregnant.
Very clearly, visibly pregnant.
Murdered.
We're arresting her son and husband or fiance right now. They were the only
They were at the crime scene.
But their fingerprints, they're not anywhere over her. But he was wearing metal finger. They both had gloves on as a spaceman. And tonight, it just never seen anything so cold.
It was a horrifying sight.
He like
just 1,000 yards staring.
The guy's like, the newbie's sitting down and just pouring himself like a glass of whiskey that like Nancy's pouring for him.
Anne is just like shaking, pale white behind Nancy. Nancy's like, it's okay. I got this. So I heard there were 2 other people at the scene of the crime. Have you put your finger on either of them yet? He's like, how did you know that? Drink your whiskey. I heard she was drunk even though she was 8 months pregnant. Heard she had a drinking problem already. This wasn't her first kid she drank while pregnant. Yeah, after the kids leave, Nancy just throws a brick of coke down there.
Nancy stages the scene with coke.
And the bottles.
He's like, how did you drink up that whiskey?
Like, why would there just be like a whole brick of cocaine just like busted open right there and just broken bottles everywhere? Like,
Nancy's like,
that should do it.
Nancy's like, I heard it was a drug deal gone wrong with that drunk of a woman. That harlot. She wasn't even married.
Beasley was actually the one who orchestrated the whole deal.
Nancy's like people are on the case, like fudging like receipts to show that like Beasley was one of their customers.
They're like torturing Beasley into like saying something that kind of could be like taken as a confession of guilt. Like, so what are you going to tell them when they ask you, Beasley, like holding a gun to his head or something? What are you going to say? I was in the store. I got lost. I was drunk. I don't know what happened. That's right, Beasley.
Take another shot of whiskey for when they test your blood alcohol. They like have like his son, unless you want to lose another kid tonight.
Like holding him over the elevator shaft. Like, we could push him down there any minute now. Then you'll both take the fall. It'll look like a struggle. Like punch Beasley in the eye to make it look like he like got fought off. I watched way too much True Detective this week. Holy shit. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. It's all Nancy. It all comes back. Nancy.
It always comes back to the white elephant.
Wow, the Chan family.
The show is amazing. I'm so glad you came across it.
Yes, me too. We highly recommend.
Yes, prime 70s comedy mystery. Yeah,
like it has it all.
It does. It has all the continuity errors and reuse cell animation from a strung out cheap animation studio. Yes.
A borderline bankrupt animation studio. They were desperate. Yes. Wow. It has Jodie Foster.
Yeah, it has Jodie Foster. Most importantly, it treats the Chinese American family very, very respectably and does not actually at all paint them, in our opinion, in any sort of like over stereotyped or even like remotely racist sort of way. Just an average family, aside from Anne, the double homicide committer,
the murderer,
and Nancy, the white elephant. But other than that,
beyond that, normal.
It's great. Who knows? Unfortunately, there's only one season of this show, so Grace and I have covered half literally of the Amazing Chan and the Chan clan. There's only 8 other episodes, but hey, that's enough for us to do one more arc. So who knows? Maybe one day in the future we'll come back, we'll finish this show off. But amazing. We're very excited, very, very excited to do the show that we're going to do next, as we hinted at the beginning of today's episode. So until we come back with our new show next week, Grace, who should they tell about this podcast?
Man, I think you should tell a Civil War reenactor. Have we done that one already?
I don't think so. I feel like we've done some sort of reenactor, but not the Civil War.
Yeah,
to my knowledge,
Civil War reenactor.
I can't think when else we would have talked about the Civil War.
Yeah, I don't think so. So, because here's the thing: like during those reenactments, if you're someone who like gets shot, quote unquote, early, you just gotta lay there for a while. Yeah. So, like,
the whole like 2-hour reenactment.
So just like plug in your AirPods, play this podcast while you're just like taking a nap in the sun while everyone runs around you and is screaming and stuff. Just plug on those. Put those AirPods on in and just listen. Got nice soothing little voices here.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Who else?
And let's see. Then also go and find someone who owns a costume shop or a costume warehouse. See if they have an elevator. Check the bottom of the shaft. Make sure there's no bodies down there. And tell them to check out Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And especially this episode to look for some workplace hazards.
Yes. Yeah. Don't put any wooden planks are not enough to keep someone from.
Did not have workplace standards.
Yeah, I don't know when OSHA came around, but I think it was after like the 80s or something.
To this Bayou costume shop yet.
No.
Not
and hopefully they don't anytime soon because Anne will be in trouble if they do. So on that note,
we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.